Create, awakening the artist inside you. Hello everyone and welcome to my show. This is Create with Franz, Sidney, and this is episode 14. We're doing really well here. We are approaching mid-October and today we're going to talk about art and resilience. Welcome to the show. So let's first of all define what is resilience. There are two ways of saying the long way and the short way. So in the long way, it's the ability that a person has to do very well despite very stressful life challenges that we all have, and to achieve maybe a good outcome against all the odds. But really, in short, resilience is just the ability to bounce back. And let's say it, who does not have adversity nowadays? We all do. We all have problems and they come all the time. We might be disabled, we might have a mental health issue, or we might be absolutely normally and finely and everything is good, but something happens and suddenly we are finding ourselves in the need of finding balance and peace because we're not doing well. And this is when we can use things like art as well as, all the broad meaning of art, so dance, singing, acting, embroidery, anything you can think of which is creative. And so the first thing I would want to quote, having read so many articles about it, is that art can increase the perception of the quality of your life, especially as you use it as therapy. It is not really new for art therapists to say that you can have a lot more personal resilience when you are able to engage with art therapy. And that's amazing because that also gives us a way that we can help people when they have adversity. Sometimes we just want to talk to them or listen to them, and other times a very good step to start with is doing something that is connected with art. Of course, you all know that art making is something where you kind of self-regulate yourself, and you can really improve your mood when you do it, especially if you are suffering from momentary anxiety or depression, or even if this is an ongoing condition. There have been some photos of art-related activities that I have posted recently in my Facebook feed, and I was asking my friends, which activities do you like the most? Why? How do you feel about it? And they were all about yoga, relaxation, dancing and art making, all sorts of it. And I got lots of responses, but really the three words that keep coming back are connection, relaxation, and peace. When you think about a person that is experiencing art, dancing, music, all forms of it, this person is having a really personal experience, a very emotional experience, and this can be the same from a person viewing or listening or watching, whoever is engaging in this art. And it's also interesting to see that when it comes to visual work, there is a common experience, and this is to actually fall in love with it. And I was reading recently an article where scientists say that they have evidence that shows that our brain reacts similarly when we are viewing artwork as when we are falling in love. So I read it, and this is the research from a professor at University College in London. What was it? Neuroaesthetics. And his name was Semir Zeki. And he said, and actually demonstrated, that when we are viewing a beautiful work of art, we create in our brain the same chemical response as love does. And in both experiences, we have this feel-good chemical that we all know is called dopamine. Isn't that amazing? Dopamine is also very, very useful in the therapy of Alzheimer's disease. However, you don't really need to go to an art museum to be able to enjoy art. Of course do, but thinking about, for example, schools, right? Everyone from 5 to 18 goes to school, and art can be a really good activity to do in school. Please don't restrain art in schools. It's not a very good idea. I don't know if you've heard about the Test magazine, which is for teachers in the UK. There was a very good article that was saying that art helps pupils to follow their own ideas and to express themselves without the fear of being wrong, as it might happen with certain subjects. And so this can be a really powerful way to build the confidence of the students, their resilience, and their character. And of course, once the students are able to develop these attributes while making art and drama, they are more likely to engage in a more challenging lesson that will come perhaps a couple of hours later or even a day later, because they know they can achieve success somewhere that can spread everyone else. So their educational outcomes are improving. I found a really good article from a head teacher of a school in Kent, and she was saying that normally children get really worried about doing a mistake in maths, in science, in English. You know, you can tick the box or you can say, well, you're not very good at this. But once they're doing art, if they persevere, if they focus more, this is in art. And while they're learning to persevere, to focus, to make more effort in art, they're gaining what we call a growth mindset. And this can then be transferred to other subjects. And just imagine the consequences. And of course, it's very important to give very positive feedback so that people can see there is a possibility of growing and getting better. And there was a really good example of one of the pupils in this school that felt really rubbish about doing art. But the teachers, the peers were giving really positive comments about his efforts and what he was doing. It was like a drawing of a plant, I think. And now, after receiving all this really good advice and support, this pupil has changed. He's more open to editing, to redrafting his writing. He's open to be corrected when he's doing maths wrong, to have a new experience. He's not worried anymore. So I thought it was a really good experience. And also there was a third article that I was reading, and this was still in another Kent school, and there was a child that had quite a lot of anger issues, and he didn't know how to express himself. But then he was able to engage in the art lessons and to develop a really good enjoyment when he was doing sketching. And the teachers noticed that he's now much better at controlling his emotions in a different way, by turning to drawing. So this art helped him to realize he can find ways to control his anger. Isn't that amazing? When you see all the big things you can do as a group of children that are doing art, whether in school or home educated or even doing it on their own, when they start inspiring other people, inspiring the public, inspiring the audience, and then see how their work is received, there is something about it, and they feel encouraged to continue. And that is so important for children who sometimes lack of confidence. A very interesting part about doing art is that it will allow you to process those experiences that you are having and those emotions that you have outside of your head. So you are creating a painting of your emotions or a drawing of a difficult situation, and you place the situation outside of yourself. So think about it, it doesn't define you anymore. And now it's outside of your brain, and you can be very active in understanding, in problem solving this situation. So really, art helps us to figure out who we are. And the same can be said for all the arts. They just nourish our soul. We need art. When you think about dancing, movement, the specialists say that they allow the past trauma to move through the body instead of getting stuck in one spot. This is why people who have trauma, they can get a lot better with lots of sessions with therapists and do body work. It's so important to move. And nowadays, a lot of people tend to use drugs, alcohol, self-harm, video games, addictions to cope with the stress, with the pain that they have. But when we change and start to write poetry, write songs, hit the drums, do something artistic, we can use the art process to look at our experiences and to reflect on them, and then to give them to the other people to see what they think of them and how they feel about it. Now, experts say that art engages the whole of the brain, both hemispheres of the brain. And they also say that when you find an artist medium that really resonates with you, you may experience what we call the flow. When you're working in a particular art form, whether it is music or dance or visual art or embroidery or sewing. And what is that? It's this special state of consciousness when you feel that you are at your best. You are performing your best. That's what we call the flow. And that's also when you're getting this concentration is so laser focused that everything else falls away. And your problems look different, they feel different because you allowed yourself time to think about something else. And so what happens is our sense of self and our sense of self-consciousness just disappears because we are so concentrated on something different. And this gives so much relief to the stress and anxiety that is very often part of our day. We have mentioned in past episodes that lifelong learning and discipline are very important for learning art properly, just like any other discipline. And while we're doing that, we're learning this art that we love so much, we're also learning how to work through our challenges and our mistakes. In fact, I remember when I was young and nobody knew all this stuff, people said if you learn to play the piano, it's not that you might become a pianist, but it's teaching you that discipline that will help you in all walks of life, all situations. And I think it's quite true. Of course, we can all try to use different forms of art. Maybe it could be drawing or painting, could be sculpting or assembling, could be construction or crafting, or maybe dancing or acting. But we can all reach a certain level of mastery. And this will allow us to have self-confidence and to feel proud of our creations. And when we feel that self-confidence, we approach all our lives in a different way because we feel good about ourselves. And because of that, we are more able to help other people. Isn't that amazing? When we look around and see what's going on today, we are in mid-October. We had several months of pandemic. We have more lockdowns coming our ways, and we seem to be unable to stop what the government is doing about this. I mean, I don't want to discuss the who and what, but really, are we going to be locked until Christmas or even for another year? This is mad. And so there are lots of people that are really stressed. They are worried, they are tired, concerned, and they are restless. And we can see a rise in home problems, in anxiety, in depression, in mental health issues, because these are tough times. And some people have been very, very ill. Now they are on the road to recovery, but they are still worried about getting some infection. And other people, sadly, they have lost loved ones. So it's really a tough situation to cope with. We need an escape valve. And my suggestion is not to use drugs and alcohol or abuse and violence, not to use video games, but really to look for different things. In this very important moment, a pivotal moment of our life, our entire well-being is at risk because we are missing activities that are the most important for human beings, like socializing, sports, hugging, kissing, touching, and just being out and about, breathing the fresh air. We can't even do that. So, if you are looking for a way to find a measure of peace and calm, to express those emotions that you have, positive and negative, if you want ways to share what you do with others and feel better about your future, you might want to choose art in all its very different expressions. You can pick something new. It could be Zumba or glass painting. You could join maybe an online acting class. Or maybe you always wanted to learn, calligraphy or meditation. Or maybe coloring books. And you want to meet up with people like you. You want to join online courses or Facebook challenges or Instagram groups or Zoom calls with people who share love for art, because that's going to be so useful. And if you can meet in person, if you are allowed to do so because you're not in England, well, it's good for you. So then just do meet up with other people while you can. So here is my take. Choose art and use it as a healing balm, because that is exactly what art will do for you. Don't just wait to be free or to have plenty of spare time or to be less anxious or to be proficient. Just dive in. You deserve to nourish yourself. You deserve to take time to detach for a few minutes from this mad world and to reconnect to who you are, how are you feeling, and what is important for you. Now, there are those of you who think, well, but I have a little voice inside myself that tells me I don't have time. Okay, I'm gonna quote from a very famous painter, Vincent van Gogh. He said, "If you hear a voice with you saying, 'You're not a painter,' then by all means paint, boy, and the voice will be silenced." Isn't that wonderful? He just said it as I would say. Show that you care for yourself by taking time for you and then join others in the healing and growing process that artists experience as they share what they do. Remember what Henry Matisse said, creativity takes courage. And I would say that it takes courage to live in the world in 2020. In the near future, I will be designing and offering special courses for you guys so that you are able to get back into art and to get art as part of your day with a group of people just like you who want to relax, who want to find 10 or 15 minutes a day to feel great about themselves, to recharge, because we all need to recharge. So my tip for the day is just that. Start looking around. What kind of art can you start doing today? Go and have a look for creative ideas, things that you can do maybe alone, maybe with your family, maybe with your friends online. And all these things are very important for you to look at now. Don't wait until it's too late, until your calendar is very full or the lockdown is in place and you cannot go and buy the things you might want to use. Mental wellness is not something to have as an option. It's something that we need every day. You deserve it. It is something that really helps to improve our quality of life and that makes us very resilient and ready for a long winter that will be in this country, possibly quite cold, wet, gloomy, and if we ruin our Christmas as well, but not allowing us to do anything that we want, that's going to be a really tough time for us. So let's make sure that while we perhaps fight for our rights to express ourselves in the way that we want, we also realize that we don't have much control of this. And what we can do is a lot of inner work to be strong, to keep moving, to become resilient. In the next episode, we're going to interview more friends that are doing textiles, and then our friend Stephen Young, he's going to talk about war figurines, and there are so many things you can do. Just listen to these people, be inspired. There are so many good interviews all over the internet, on podcasts, on Amazon Music, Apple, iTunes. There is just so much. So remember to use art as a way of having free therapy, because it's a lot better than antidepressants. It's very, very cheap, and most creative things can be done very, very easily just in your home or just perhaps going in your garden. Art doesn't have to be complicated either. Stop thinking that it has to be very, very expensive. Lots of things can be done with very, very cheap ingredients or parts or tools and utensils. And it's just a way of being creative, and maybe go to your shed and see what you can do with that, If you want to reach me to ask questions about what you can do to put back art into your life, please make sure to come to facebook.com/Franz Sidney Therapy. You can also go to my website, which is always under construction, franzsidney.com. I keep losing articles here and there because I change my mind. So you're far better off just to text me, send me a message on Messenger or WhatsApp if you have my number, and I'll be right back to you to help you. If, however, anxiety, depression, and any other self-sabotage or self-procrastination issue is haunting you and just listening to my podcast has not helped you to move forward, that means you might need a session, in which case, still contact me and have a free discovery call lasting up to half an hour and discuss how can I help you to get even better soon. Thank you very much for listening to my show. This was Create with Franz, a show that is all about art. Create. Awakening the artist within you.